Ah, I'm just a big head.
Hi, you're just a big head. Hi. It's okay. Last minute adjustments to where we fit in the bar. Hi. Yeah, you should see my screen now so you can like lift yourself up a little bit. Why are you underneath the bar, Ben?
I'm coming up.
Oh my gosh. You don't.
Do I need to leave? I mean, I can give you guys some space.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay.
Oh no, we're live now. So it's okay.
Yeah, Fen forgot we're live and we're not. We're streaming on Twitch, not any other website. Anyway, hi chat. Welcome on in. How's it going? I'm Marina. If it's your first time here, I'm a variety VTuber. I do this stream every single week. This is my sex ed and relationship advice stream, and this week I have with me Benzie and Angel Steps. Angel is returning. Angel has been here before. You're actually in my second week I ever did this, so it's been a little bit since you've been around. I'm so excited to have you back again. Been about a month and a half or so.
All I remember is we made some very say-so pancakes on stream.
Yes,
That's
yes.
all I remember.
We did talk about pancakes. I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, the pancake batter thing. Yeah, that was
the say-so pancake batter.
Pancake batter?
And
pancake
yeah,
batter.
we'll fill you in. Don't worry, I'll fill you in the batter.
Okay.
What is happening, chat?
Oh, when I hear pancake batter and cooking and like the whole sex ed thing, I just think about Freya and the, that
Freya?
kind of cooking. Remember Freya was saying
Oh,
she wants
my
to
God,
cook with a
that's
certain
right.
ingredient?
Yes.
Those
Freya
kind of
wants.
pancakes?
So Freya got a cookbook on cooking with semen and wants to wants to explore some of that educationally. But Freya was like, I don't know how to get it, and I was like, what do you mean? Freya was like, I don't know. I called up like a sperm bank to see if like they sell it, and I was like, that's not how that works, Freya.
Yeah, that's...
Can you imagine though if they just had a department dedicated to cooking? Like, can you imagine though how interesting the conversations would be as an employee? Like, you just pick up the phone and they're like, yeah, I need a gallon for a wedding cake.
Oh my. Okay, what if like the little vials come over and it's like wine, right? They're like, there's like little descriptions on like.
Oh my God.
And then you like swish it in your mouth and spit it back in and like, okay, that one's good.
Yeah. Right.
Oh my God. I could see rich people doing this. Why isn't this already a thing?
Age 25 years from a scientist.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then you have like little bits of the diet and like the notes, like right, like a floral aroma with notes of pecan and
oh my God.
orchard apple.
Yeah. He was very into fruits.
Oh God.
Well, hi chat, welcome on in. Yeah, we do this every week. I have different people on every week, and we answer your questions on both sex ed questions and relationship advice. So feel free to check out the question command. It will link you to our question form where you can ask us anything you want to. Ask us anything you've been wondering. Or if you are in a particular relationship situation and you want to ask a question, feel free. All questions are anonymous. You can feel free to let us know that a question was yours if you want to, but there's never any obligation. Sometimes people ask us relationship advice and then we have questions, and so your giving us more information is completely voluntary. Yeah, but I see a lot of friends in chat. Adora, hi, nice to see you. Nice to see everyone coming by from my community or Angel's community or Fen's community. I see a lot of familiar faces. It's nice to see everyone, so thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for the hype train. What let me go back and see real quick. What has happened? Fen, thank you for the raid. Thanks for bringing your community over. Grim.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you for subscribing for 2 months. I really appreciate the resub. Happy Fish, thank you for 2 months. Sylvie, thank you for 15 months. I can't count this high. Jeez. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's a long time. That's over a year. I appreciate that. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you all for coming by. I'm really looking forward to tonight. You know. That's way too lewd hand holding. Yeah, I don't know if we can talk about hand holding here at the stream. That might be TOS.
Yeah, that
but
might
if
be
you have,
TOS.
if you have other,
but you're holding
educational-
hands right now. I can see it under the table.
I don't.
The hands.
Shh!
They're
Don't expose us like that. Twitch is
Wait,
gonna
I'm
ban
not
us.
supposed to say that?
Twitch is gonna ban us for that.
Actually, kind of looks like
sorry.
we're holding hands. That's cute.
It really does look like
yeah.
it.
now they know. Now it's all out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how's your week? How have things been for you two? You've been having a nice time.
It's been good. It's the first of the month, so you know, bills.
Yeah. Oh, fun. Yeah, fun time. Yeah, it's
Those
like
are fun.
Bills.
it's January now, so people are gonna start getting their tax forms, and there's gonna be all that wonderful stuff.
I'm ready for the VTuber Twitter to blow up with "Wait, I have to do taxes," and then everyone start panicking. That's personally what I'm waiting for.
What do you mean? Twitch didn't take money out of my paycheck? Yeah, people that have never been a self-employed person before.
Yeah, I remember last year that was a big thing.
It's like, wait, what? I have to do taxes?
Yeah, so I'm excited for all the subathons in April.
Yep.
Oh my god.
The uncapped
No time to plug. I'm doing a subathon.
Yeah.
I have taxes to pay, chat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was my last year. I spent a little, like half the year still employed, so I got a bunch of taxes pulled out there. So I'm hoping that I'll be mostly covered with all the expenses and write-offs and stuff that I have to do. It's normally how it goes, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's not stressful here.
Luckily we got a few months, even if it does end up, painful. It's not like they go, you have to have it this week or you're in jail. You know what I mean? Like, we have time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so last time usually when I do this, I like to start and ask people, how are you qualified or maybe not as qualified to give advice on either sex ed or relationship advice or stuff like that? Any special qualifications for you, Angel?
Oh God. So I was a very late bloomer. I didn't even like explore myself, haha, hee till I was already 18. Just zero interest. I liked my anime boys, and that was about it. I didn't really care. And then I found one person that I really liked, and I ended up dating them, and I married them like a month ago. So,
yay!
I can do relationship advice, but when it comes to the sexual end, chat, I'm gonna be learning with you.
Okay.
I think for myself, I wouldn't say I have a lot of self experience, but I do know a lot about kinks / relationship dynamics and stuff like that. So I think I at least have a lot of insight about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Certified sex haver TM. Yeah, thank you, Adora. Yeah, that is
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And me personally, I am, I guess formally, not actively right now, a science and math and health teacher, and I have taught sex ed, and been through a bunch of trainings and have a bunch of experience on various things. So, yeah, I'm here as the teacher to share my knowledge on things like that. But yeah, we'll take some questions. So again, if you have not seen the form, !question right there, we'll give you the link to the ask.ping.gg form, and you'll be able to ask us anything you want to. Everything will be anonymous. Like I said, if you want to throw it there, that a question is yours and claim ownership of it, that is totally okay. But yeah, never needed. Yeah. I took my only sex ed class in my freshman year of high school. Yeah, normally, I guess so. I'm in California, and sex ed is done for students in, I want to say, the 5th grade, the 7th grade, and the 9th grade. So I don't know what other countries are like. If there are like designated times or if stuff is sprinkled in like throughout education or what it is. But I don't know. That's how it was in California. What was sex ed like for you too?
I was in California, but I went to a Catholic parochial school for most
That's
of it.
right.
In which case they said, "Don't touch yourself or you'll go to hell. Don't touch someone else, you'll go to hell. Hand holding babies, don't do that." And then I went to
Wow.
public school and they were like, "Condoms are a thing," and that was about the extent of what they taught me.
So there was no education really. It was just a abstinence only
No.
education of you just
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, and for
And then
myself, I like grew up in a pretty small town in Canada, and it was basically like we had one class in like grade 8, and
Mhm.
they're like, "Hey, condoms, you should probably do that." And then in high school we had one, and I was like, "Hey, you're gonna get pregnant one day. Here's a video of it," and that was pretty much it.
here's a video of you getting pregnant. And you're like, oh, okay.
And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, okay."
Yeah. All right. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and get us started with questions. Like I said, if you have anything to ask, go ahead and ask us. Otherwise, we will pull from our list. Um. All right. All right. So we can start with this one. Very eloquently put. Our first question is, what the hell is premature ejaculation? There's an underscore though, like it's a Twitch handle.
Premature ejaculation just shows up in the chat. "Hey, what's up, guys? Talking about me?"
Yeah, can somebody can we do the the usual anonymous gifted a sub to premature ejaculation? Don't forget the underscore. I feel like ejaculation would be one of those terms that Twitch would not allow you to name yourself, but who knows,
Or having an emote, an emote name.
Yeah. What is premature ejaculation? I mean, the idea of premature ejaculation is someone who has like a really high sensitivity to ejaculating, so they can come easily, basically. So I think the term premature, it's not like a medical term or anything like that. Premature ejaculation really refers to someone being so sensitive that they will come quickly, and I think the premature means like before your partner finishes, or it's the notion of coming too early, which we've talked about this a few times on the show. There is no one right way to like have sex. It really shouldn't be about finishing and who's finishing first and this and that. It's like sex is a holistic act of two people being intimate with each other, right? And so the reality is you want to just make sure that both people are enjoying themselves. And I don't really think the notion of premature ejaculation is like super valid, right? It's about working with your partner and communicating those things. If someone deals with being super sensitive and coming very, very easily, that's a question to talk to a medical professional. That's something that you want to like see what can I do. But yeah, finding ways to work on that, doing that research, and this is going to be something that we'll talk about again and again, is like make sure you do research if you have questions on your body specifically and how it works. Yeah. Isn't premature a term that can be used outside of sexual definitions? Yeah, premature just means like to happen early. That's really what it means. Before maturity, like, whereas in this situation, maturity doesn't mean like a person's maturity. It means like
Early?
yeah, it just means early, before the sexual encounter has matured to climax, I think is what the reference is there. But yeah, I don't know. Any other input?
I actually kind of was curious as well on this one because as you said, it's like the concept is early, but how do you define early? Wouldn't that change per relationship and per partner and based on the sensitivity of both partners? I don't know. I feel like it's
Yeah.
just a term that doesn't really match in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
Sorry, my chair was caught on cables. I wasn't meaning to stare at Ben's butt. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's okay. I do that all the time too. No worries. No worries. Understandable. It's a good one. Um,
But yeah, I think it's probably hard to define when it's too early to ejaculate. I guess that depends on, I don't know, I guess the length of sex with someone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
yeah, it's basically and oh, I'm sorry. Go for it.
I have a follow-up question. If
Yes.
premature ejaculation's a thing, is there like how many shots is considered normal? Like, is there a limit to how many cooms can happen in a session? If we're gonna put statistics on it, because I feel like we'd have to have statistics on that too for this to count, and I don't know if there is.
Okay, so that's the thing is I think the idea of premature ejaculation comes from like, you know, the classical patriarchal like notion on sex of you know, the person pumping is just pumping until they finish and then they're done. And then they roll over and they're like, "Oh, that was good. Hope that was
And
good
then they
for
go
you."
to sleep.
Yeah, right? And so the idea there is like if that's how two people are doing it, which is not how anyone should be doing it, right? Like sex shouldn't just be this weird like go through the motions act. There's a problem if that's what's happening, right? That's really where it comes from, because if that's a situation where, you know, someone's just going until they finish and then they stop, then yeah, if someone finishes too quickly and it's happening every single time, so the partner is, you know, never really able to reach orgasm and they would like to and they feel like they're unfulfilled, then that's kind of where this comes from, right? That's where it is. And I
That
think
just
that
sounds
just
like
kind
a
of
lazy
comes...
partner, though.
Yeah, oh, it is. I mean, that's the reality of it, right? The reality of it is like real healthy sexual relationships involve two people having like clear sort of definitions and communications with each other on like what each other are looking on, and just being fluid, like communicating that, because some sessions are different, right? There can be times when, you know, if two people are doing it with each other 5 times a week, it could be that 4 out of 5 of those, like, both people finish and both people are happy. And one of those times, someone's just like, you know what, I don't really need to finish today. I'm just having fun today. You know, like, sometimes that sort of thing happens. There's no, like, there doesn't have to be the same exact thing every single time. It's always, always, always about communicating, I think. That sort of idea. But you're going back to your question of, like, how many times? I think it depends on situations, because I think there's situations where someone can finish multiple times, whether they have a penis or a vagina. Like, someone can finish multiple times in a session, and there are other times when people don't finish at all, or and they don't want to, and there are times when, or they're, you know, they're like satisfied not to, and then yeah, times where people just finish once and that's it. So
Learning.
yeah, again, it's always about communication. Yeah. All right, we want another one? You want to take another one?
Nah, I'm good for another.
Let's go. Okay.
Oh, no.
What an open-ended question.
I'm scared.
Erotic roleplay. What is it and how to do it? This sounds like a chapter in a book.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anyone wanna tackle this one? Do either of you have experience in erotic roleplay?
I think it depends on the context.
So I think there's a lot of different ways that people can do this, but I mean, no, the key definition here is role play, right? The key definition here is role play, and role play essentially is two people pretending, right? Role play is the adult version of like when you're a kid and you're like, let's pretend things, right?
Yeah, let's play dress up, essentially.
Yeah, that's literally what role play is. Role play is like we try to make ourselves feel better as adults about playing pretend by calling it role play, which is, it's the same thing, and it's fine, it's healthy. I'm not being condescending to it or shaming or anything like that. I'm just saying it's the same idea, right? It's two people basically having fun by pretending to be in a situation, role playing something out the way you would be acting or something like that. Now, gosh, so erotic roleplay can have a lot of different kind of things. There's like in person.
Yeah, this is where I was. This is what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, where you're like, you know, oh no, professor, I'm so worried about my exam. Is there anything I can do? You know, there's like role play situations where you're like, you know, you're the college student that just wants to get a good grade, or you know, there's whatever it might be, right? But then some people experience role play in, and this I don't really have any kind of knowledge experience on, but like erotic role play on like video games. Like I know people will do erotic role play in like MMOs and things like that, right?
Yep.
Like, people will do erotic roleplay in like World of Warcraft and stuff, and I'm always like, huh, okay.
Final Fantasy, they're big on that.
Final Fantasy.
Oh, okay, Final Fantasy. Yeah, I was gonna say like, and I don't have like the experience. I don't know if either of you can speak to that, but yeah, we need an erotic roleplay expert to come on the show sometime and give us a rundown of what that's like.
I feel like anything that's role play, right? Because it's so open ended, and if the reason why I was like and someone in chat brought it up is, you know, like I do erotic audios, right? So those are technically in that vein, but it's a script that doesn't connect to another person, so it's kind of hard to really say. I find that doesn't directly apply, even though it has the same name, because you're not actually dealing with another person's personality and tendencies and likes and dislikes.
Yeah.
I don't personally have much experience with ERP and MMOs, but I was on the server that was known for it in Final Fantasy, and you couldn't go anywhere without it just being on the front page. Like
just coincidentally, you're just like, oh no, how'd I end up here?
I can't tell you how many times I walked into my private house and people were just in my bed, and I was like, what? Get out of here. This is not your home. That was just I shit you not, this is Balmung on Final Fantasy. That's what it was like. I had to start locking my private home because people would just show up ERPing in my house.
Do you like, so you buy a house on the server and that's like your space?
And like you can and you can decorate it, and then you can choose to have it open, and so like people can come in and take a look, and like, you know, have a little place where people can go, oh, your house is cool. No, you don't do that on that server because they just have sex in your house, okay? That was a consistent thing. But like jokes kind of being put to the side though. I feel like ERP online, from at least what I've seen from my friends and what I've casually had to walk through, kind of plays very similar to what you would see in like a chat room, where it's literally just role play, like normal, these are my characters, but it's role playing the action and kind of going to and from on there. I don't really think there's a hard line on how it can be done, since like anything that involves two people, it's based on the two people's interests and likes, so it could be wildly different depending on the subjects involved.
Yeah. There's no... Okay, what is it and how to do it? Yeah, so what is it is like so broad because there's so many different things.
I have something to say. If it is about like the MMOs, like I have some experience at least in I wouldn't really call it an MMO, but Second Life.
Okay.
So yeah, I have done it once or twice, and I will say that like how to do it, you have to be like it depends on who you're doing it with, I suppose, but you have to be like kind of imaginative and more descriptive, because
Are people like
it
typing
kind of,
messages to each other through like the like?
yeah, so like you would
Yeah.
be in like a private message, and like you're just, you have like your avatars also doing stuff, but then you're also like adding to it, like oh, like I don't know, like if it was like an armpit ERP, let's use as an example, you'd be
Oh,
like, oh,
okay.
like looks up and sees the sweat glistening from your armpit, like moans and then licks it or something, right? Like
Okay.
you
Okay.
have to be like descriptive, and it's sometimes it's exhausting, to be honest, because it's
A lot
because
of poetry.
well, yeah, it's a lot. You're also trying to like be in the moment. Maybe you're doing stuff or not doing stuff. So you, but
Right.
while trying
Right.
to do that, and you can't just like keep typing like moans as a response to someone else being descriptive, right? You have to also,
Smile. Yeah.
yeah, like smiles.
Nods.
You have to like put a lot of effort into it, which
Right.
can be
Right.
exhausting. Like it's so how to do it. If you're doing it online, you have to be very, I would say, be very descriptive and try to think of ways to add to the
Yeah.
scenario besides just like, I am just here, smile.
Yeah. Also, Viporan, thank you for 14 months. I see you said that you have experience and that helps you craft narratives for characters and stuff too. Yeah, that's an essential part of your personality and of a character or something. Then it makes sense. ERP and MMOs are fun, just requires a level of trust between you and whoever you're RPing with. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's RPing, role playing doesn't have to just be like ERP, right? Like people do non-erotic role play in games and stuff like that, right? Like there
Yeah,
are
it would
just
just be
role
like
Oh
play
any
yeah.
normal role
servers.
play. Like if you're trying to like just, I don't know, D&D role play with someone and they just keep going like, says hello, you're going to be like, this sucks and this is
You're just
boring,
an
this
NPC.
this
Stop.
person is not involved and not being descriptive, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You
Yeah.
have to get into it and be very yeah.
Okay, so what are the role play servers like on like WoW or Final Fantasy? Like do people walk in? They're like, "Hello, fellow elves." Like,
It
are
kinda.
it's
So
there are people who are like always in character, right? And like that's the only way they
yeah.
interact with other
Yeah.
people.
They
Yes.
also, so Final Fantasy, you
Okay.
can put a tag on your username that has a little RP symbol, and there's like areas, right? So like the Adventurers Guild in Ul'dah is usually just filled to the brim with
Oh,
people,
1 second.
and oh,
I don't know if you can hear the audio through the shared screen.
no,
Okay.
no.
Um, I've been role playing my whole professional life. I love it. Yeah, some people are really, really into it. Sorry. Okay, so you said some people have like symbols.
Yeah, yeah. So there's like a little symbol next to the name that'll designate, oh, this person is role playing. So that way players that are in the same area for like a quest line or something can see that. It also kind of helps
Yeah.
like people who want to role play. If someone has that tag on, they can walk up to said person and start role playing. And sometimes they'll do it just literally in the normal chat that everyone can see. And if you're in those areas, you can expect that you'll see people at the bar and you'll see people flirting and just general chat while you're trying to do your quest. And it's you know, and then of course, like there's obviously the private homes we talked about earlier are prime real estate
Yeah.
for this because people can do personal houses that are literally geared towards their entire roleplay stuff. There's people that do like host bars and things like that. It's an entire roleplay experience that have actual people staffed, and like there's people who get paid in-game money to play their roles and all kinds of stuff. It's an entire culture. It's crazy, but it's set up to be very easy to see because of the tag system.
That's so neat. Okay, that's really cool. How? I guess one of my other questions would be, how does this fit into like the terms of service of a given game, such as World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14? Because I imagine that Square. Oh, 1 second. To an extent, you could say that. In like Final Fantasy, I imagine the Square is not like openly inviting or advertising like, come erotic roleplay in our game, right? Like,
Yeah, no. Regular roleplay is highly encouraged on the game. When it comes to erotic stuff, it's just kind of
which
lumped into
makes
the
sense.
area of don't do 18 plus stuff because there are kids playing this game. But you know
Right.
how that works. We all know how that works. When you have a loose chat room style, Final Fantasy, a chat room reborn, like it is
Yeah.
no stopping it. You just got to, practice being safe and smart.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. But I'm assuming
There might
people can
also
report things, right? Like if two people start like being
If it
graphic
gets like
in
really, yeah, if it gets graphic, they'll
general
usually
chat.
get reported. But they
Okay.
have private and link shells and all kinds of stuff to where, like, they can create a very organized, good system for it that doesn't expose random minors.
Yeah, that which is good. Yeah. It's always
generally
good when. Mhm.
generally everything is done in PMs, or they'll have like an add-on that would open its own chat outside
Mm-hmm.
of. So it's not happening
Oh,
like
okay.
within the game, because there's a lot of like add-ons as well for like RP profiles, I guess. So you would
Yeah.
like scroll over the character, open it, and then like it's an add-on that they have, and it would have a whole. If you also have the add-on, you can see their whole backstory, I guess. And if it's erotic, it would probably have their kinks and stuff listed.
Yeah.
Ah,
So a lot of
okay.
stuff is done through, yeah, third-party add-ons. So which probably isn't within TOS either, but you know,
Yeah, because you can get like cosmetic things for games,
yeah,
right?
there
Too,
there
or
is
like
Oh, yeah.
nude mods for
you're
Final
able to.
Fantasy.
There's lots of nudie mods.
Now, are people? I'm trying to think. Like when you mod your game and you do something like that, it's not like a game like VR Chat where it's loading other people's custom uploads, right? Like it's
No,
uploading
it's all local.
stuff that the game has made. So any cosmetic mods like that are local. So someone else would also like. I guess what I'm saying is, is there like a mod system in place where like if everyone has like, fun time mod, then everyone gets to see everyone else, or like, or it's always only you can see it.
So it'd have to be done via like verbal communication. Like there's a list of mods that I know, like when a friend of mine joined, right? A friend of hers does ERP on the server, and she set her up
Mm.
with all the same mods that everyone in their ERP guild has. Like everyone in that free company has the same list of mods, and they just share it amongst their group, so that way it looks the same on all of their client sides. But at the end of the day, it's just verbal connection. It's not, there's no like
Right,
system that
right.
makes it to where other people can see what you see.
Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say like another big one I know is like when it comes down to, I think, erotic roleplay or any kind of roleplay, either like outside of that, a big place for that has been VR chat, right? Like VR
Mhm.
chat with the advancement of technology and actually putting yourself in VR, and even more so with stuff like full body tracking where people are able to track their entire bodies, walk around, move, like sit, lie down, do all kinds of things with their bodies, and actually be able to show people like what they're doing with their body, um and have avatars that they can do things with. um that's one of those things that I know has definitely allowed for at least, general role play. It is against terms of service very explicitly in VR chat for people to be doing anything adult or erotic role playing or things like that, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's why. Yeah. It's one of those things that people can get reported, have their accounts removed, and stuff like that. So that's kind of like why I was curious, like what games are like, because I know that for the most part, I feel like, most moderation teams have to kind of be on top of things because their games are. It's not like it's an adult service, right? It's not like there's an age
Yeah.
check or anything, so people need to
I
abide
feel
by
like
their.
most of the mods in Final Fantasy kind of turn a blind eye to it as long as it's locked behind a private house or something like that. Because
Yeah,
it's a
and
well
that's
understood thing. It's not like it's a secret. Like everyone, even people who don't RP in the slightest, are fully aware of it. There's no
yeah,
hiding it. But it's not like done in the middle of the city, like where the graphic stuff is seen. It's just like people know that there's places to go for that kind of deal.
right, yeah,
I personally feel like VR chat should just go the SL route, which is you're not allowed to turn on 18 plus servers unless you have a credit card on file.
Oh, is that what they do?
As kind of like an age verification. Yeah, you're not allowed
Oh,
to enter any adult servers until you have a credit card on file, and they charge it like $1 or whatever to make sure.
no. I think part of what ends up coming down is like, if you look at Twitch, so Twitch has their list of games that you can and can't like stream, have any content on. VR chat's allowed, and VR chat's always been allowed. But Second Life, for example, is not. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think one of those
completely
reasons, I
banned.
think it's because of that. I think it's because of the
Yeah.
idea where the game itself is like they embrace that, right? Like they're like, okay, sure. Like if this makes us money, this makes us money. And I feel like that would be like, it wouldn't make sense for like Twitch or places to treat VR chat any differently if they did the same thing, right? If they all of a sudden were like, it's okay with us, then that would kind of be the issue. I think right now the reality is it seems like VR chat kind of asks on like what do you call it? Like behaves on a like don't ask, don't tell kind of thing, where if it's not happening in public, how are they gonna know that, you know, your model can go naked or do things that it's not supposed to do, right? It's like the same idea as people modding a game when that's not allowed, right? Like you can take your Elden Ring and mod it, you know, and do all these things to give yourself like 1,000,000 souls or whatever, make yourself fly through the world. But the second you go online and start interacting with other people, well, then it's their problem, right? Then it's like they have to deal with it. But no one's gonna be sitting there policing what you're doing, modding your offline game. It's that idea of like what's going on where they can't see, I guess, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah. So how to do it? I mean, we covered some stuff already. Like it's people. What I will say is that I think that like ERP has its place definitely in like healthy sexual interactions when there are people that for whatever reason you know, aren't having a physical sexual outlet with another person like in person. There's nothing wrong with, you know, whatever things might be, having, you know, sexting or having calls with people where people you know, have sexual interactions via call or via message or whatever it might be. So this is just one of those other things where you're interacting in the medium where the medium is a, you know, some sort of game or some sort of thing like that. Thank you, Spades. Thank you for 15 months. I really appreciate that. Yeah, so I think it's definitely a healthy outlet for people who maybe aren't able to get a lot of, you know, in-person physical, or it doesn't even matter, like whatever. It's just if someone enjoys it, and there's nothing really wrong with it. I think the important thing is finding other people that are comfortable with it and also interested in it, right? I think it's like any role play. I think it's like the same thing. Like I know some communities embrace role play and are cool with it, and some communities don't. My community, for example, like does not allow role play, so I would prefer not to have people come into my chat and, you know, use like italics to express things that they're doing, they're role playing in my chat and stuff like that. But if there's a community that is okay with that, then, you know, that's where you find it. So it's all about that communication and looking for those places, I guess. But I feel like there's enough online forums, and Google searching can get you like, I'm sure it's not hard to find out like which server is the role play servers on different games, right?
And you should never like try to pull people into it who don't want it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
especially
absolutely.
like if you're gonna erotic role play out in public, that you should not do that because you're like indirectly dragging people into your thing that's they didn't really consent to. So like if you're into like erotic puppy role play, like, you know, you should not go out for walkies on the street. It should be done behind closed doors, kind of thing, because then you're involving people who aren't part of it, and that's the wrong way to do erotic role play.
Have you ever gone out for walkies?
I have not, but I've there's like I don't know, there's like a famous video of this person who got paid like $100K to be someone's dog for a year, and like they go for puppuccinos at Starbucks and stuff, and it's a whole it's not good. It's
what, like in IRL?
Yeah, IRL.
I mean,
she's like this TikTok girl.
100K.
Oh,
he, like,
I think
brings
I've
her to
seen...
brings her to like Starbucks, and it's just not right. It's the wrong way to do erotic role play. If you want to do that shit behind closed doors, for sure. Yes, you can do whatever you want. But...
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen some stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, 100K seems like a lot, but it's, I don't know, like, there are plenty of jobs that, I mean, if it was like, hey, once a day for a week, every Saturday, you know, and I'll pay you 100K a year, okay, maybe something like that, but for someone to just be like, for a year, you're going to 24/7, I don't know, who knows, maybe they're into it. Maybe, I mean, you have to be, right? Like,
Yeah, well, right.
do you
Like,
take...
I guess the follow-up question was like, did she have to be a dog 24/7, or was it just like on outings?
I believe it's 24/7, like dog bed, crate,
Oh,
and all.
God.
So
Does
Oh
that include
God.
like... Does that include like puppy pads or like
probably.
Ah!
I haven't delved that deep into
All right,
it, but
100K is not good enough for me to use a puppy pad. 300K minimum.
all I'm saying is that like you better have some doggy bags, you know, like.
Oh no. Okay. That's well, this was a question. This is a question that went a lot of places. Is there... Oh, you know, that's a good question. Is there... Do you think they're getting like full-time benefits? Do you think they're getting like
Dental, yeah,
you know,
he takes her to the vet.
dental?
Takes her to the vet, you know, pays the vet bills, so
Oh
it's
my
covered.
God. Okay. Okay. I feel like I have to...
I'm gonna block this memory out. By tomorrow, this part of the stream will have just not happened to me.
I'm just explaining the wrong way to do it. You have the
Someone's
right ways
gonna...
to do it and the wrong ways to do it.
Yeah, someone's gonna recommend puppy pads to your throne, and you're gonna see that in like
Oh
a week
my
and be like, oh God. And you're gonna be like, why are there puppy pads? Oh. Someone in chat remember that. In a week, recommend puppy pads to Angel's throne.
No, don't you
And then I'll
dare.
get that DM.
Aries, you can walk yourself out of chat. Shut up.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright, let's see. Oh, here's a good one. So, can not orgasming cause health problems? Is there any problem if someone doesn't orgasm?
I don't know.
The answer is no. There's no problem. Even yeah, because I know some people might be like, but what if I don't do it and then like my balls get so full that they explode? It's not. That's not what happens. Yeah, there was one time we went through like a thing where we looked up a bunch of info on like what the actual life cycle of sperm are. Here, let me see. Let me look this up so I can give you exact things because I don't remember the dates. It's like, or the times. But it's something like it actually takes some weeks for sperm to get to the point. 64 days, I think. Yeah, is that what it says? Where's the... Get the fuck out of here. Okay. Trying to find the day is where it says, but it's about... Oh, here we go. Okay. So testicles are constantly producing new sperm. The full process takes about 64 days. So that means from the start of the cells like starting to split and be formed to being ready to get shot out, it's about 64 days, right? It's about 2 months, which means that stuff is like new sperm are always being generated and created. So they're like always ready to go, right? So testicles can make several million sperm per day, right? About 1,500 sperm per second.
Oh my God.
That's a lot, right? So by the end of a full sperm production cycle, meaning within 64 days, you've probably made about 8 billion sperm. If you have testicles that are making sperm. Yeah. Yeah, so it says it may seem like overkill, but you can release anywhere from 20 to 300 million sperm cells in a single milliliter of semen. Body maintains a surplus to ensure a fresh supply for conception. Okay, so the other thing to know is that this doesn't say it here, but this is also part of it, is so the cells get created, right? You have the division of the sex cells to make the sperm cells that carry genetic data. The sperm mature in the testicles, right? And they take most of that time to just be ready to be at the point where they're able to fertilize an egg. And then they move into the epididymis, which is the tube that connects the testicles to the to like the urethra, right? This is where the sperm gains motility and the ability to move, and it enables them to travel in the seminal fluid, which is the semen, during ejaculation. So the sperm cells need to be in that fluid, right? That's the fluid that allows them to move over with their little like tails and shit like that. But what happens, so here's the thing, people are like, okay, so if I'm making that many sperm, if I don't ejaculate, does that mean my testicles are just gonna fill up with millions of sperm and they're gonna explode? And the thing is, no, actually they're only like viable for a window. I don't see it here, but I remember it was like a few days after like that long span of time when they're ready to go. They're only viable for a few days, and then after that they break down. They actually get like broken down and like reabsorbed into the body. So there is no need, essentially, for someone to orgasm if they're worried that that's gonna like cause health problems because they're not ejaculating or something like that. So anyone of any gender, like there's no health problems to not orgasming. However, having healthy regular orgasms is something that has been linked in many studies to other health benefits, right? So it's not about whether it can cause problems if you don't do it. It's more about doing it is healthy, if that makes sense, right? But is there like pressure to orgasm or have sex? Like, no, there shouldn't be. There definitely shouldn't be in any kind of sense like that. Yeah, I don't know. Anything you want to add?
I'm not a doctor, so I'm not, not too sure on that one. But
I made 20 years with never doing anything, and my women parts didn't explode. So I mean,
yeah, they didn't fall off. So
yeah, they didn't rot. So that's promising.
20 years is a long time.
No, I said I was a late bloomer. I meant it.
I mean, it can be a good stress reliever. I guess that's a good benefit.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of things. It's good for cardiovascular health. It's good for other things. But yeah, free from desire. Oh my gosh. Okay, so here's one. I'll let you tackle on first. Here's an opinion question. Is it weird to have clothes on during sex? Just the dangly bits are out.
No. Fast answer on that one, no.
So, like, how much clothes are we talking though? Like, for everything? Like, you're just pulling down the zipper of the jeans and kind of just
like
going at it like that, full on.
A Zentai suit, but you just have a little hole where, like, the bits are exposed.
Yeah, whatever you're fully comfortable with. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's how you feel comfortable doing the act, then no, it's not weird.
Yeah,
like,
no, I agree.
I have like I guess for myself, I prefer to have like socks on. I don't know if it's so I don't want to be like fully clothed, but I prefer to have socks or like thigh highs on. And I don't know. That's my preference. I'm kind of weird and I don't like to have
Is it because your toesies got cold? Is it because you're afraid
yeah,
of the monsters
maybe it
gonna,
is
like,
probably
reach
a
up
little
out
bit
of
like that, but
out of the bed and like like nibble on your toes when you're not looking? Or,
Yeah,
like,
it's just kind of like this weird feeling of like,
or is it just habit? Is it just like you've always done it and it feels weird not
yeah,
to?
well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Just not feeling fully exposed, but exposed enough where I'm comfortable, I guess, kind of thing. Because it's
Okay.
like, even if I have that one little piece of clothing, I'm like, I'm just like, it's comfortable still.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense.
For me, I
Yeah.
don't know. I find like if all the clothes are off, it feels more like this is intimate and romantic. And if my brain goes, this should be sweet and hugs and snuggles, that's where my brain goes. I don't know why, but if there's still
Yeah.
clothes, my brain goes, oh, this is more like hot. It's a weird distinction, but I think that's a personal taste thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there's a way for this to be weird. I think it's just a personal taste thing.
Yeah, I don't think it's weird. I think it can be hot
I love
either
you,
way,
Elena.
depending on, what people are into and what does it for them. I think it is really nice to be able to be intimate with someone in a way where you're both naked with each other. I also think on the opposite end, there's something really hot about that like rushed passion of just like pulling pants
Not-
down a little way or
Yeah,
lifting
not
up
even
a
having time to
skirt
get anything off.
and pulling it over to the side and yeah, and you're just like going for it, right? So I think there's different thing and it's just like other stuff we talked about, like it doesn't have to be and probably won't be the same thing every single time, right? Like sometimes people can do it like that where they have clothes on and some people can do it where they don't have any clothes on, you know? Just kind of is what it is. The R2D2 socks stay on. I love that. I love that. I love that. I want someone to wear the socks that have the little like toes cut out in them. Not cut out, but like the socks that
Individual
have toes.
toes.
Yeah, individual toes
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
go around.
Toe beans.
Yeah. I love that.
I'll get some of those. It sounds like a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see another question. Let's see. Okay. Why do people think a partner who's more quiet during sex is bad? Some people aren't loud. I think this can kind of be read as like, what do you think? What is your opinion on people who maybe aren't as loud?
I think if someone thinks it's bad, that could just be like coming from like an insecure place of like them thinking they're not giving you enough pleasure, so that therefore, you're not making noise because they're not doing their job good enough, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of hit them in the insecurity a little bit. But yeah, some people just aren't vocal. Like some people just don't make noises, and that's okay.
Being quiet's bad. Sweats. Panic.
Yeah. Yeah. You have anything to say on this, Angel?
I am a quiet individual, so I'm panicking. That's
I think again, our golden word, communication. Like, if someone is like, my partner is really quiet, am I just not good enough? Like, communicate, right? Like, let your partner know how you're feeling. And hopefully your partner will communicate, why that is. Either just, oh, I don't know, I've never really thought about it. Like, I just kind of internalize my stuff and I don't really express it that way. Or, more often than not, I hear people who just say, well, I don't know, I've always been really shy and I thought like it was weird to make noise. Particularly people who have been socialized as males who have grown up just like hearing the differentiation between like men are supposed to be stoic and stoic and silent and just like jackhammer machines that sometimes grunt like, you know,
Grr.
it's
Grr.
it's there's no like a golden rule for how people need to be or not be. It's all a matter of communication and expressing yourself. But I think part of it is just communicating with your partner and seeing you know, why something is the way that it is. But
Also, like,
yeah,
watching porn might give an unrealistic expectation that everyone is
Yes.
supposed to scream their lungs out when that is definitely not the case.
I'm pretty sure porn gives a lot of unrealistic
Yeah,
expectations.
and that is one of them.
What made you laugh? What was it? Maybe they were afraid that they moan like a Minecraft villager. What does a Minecraft villager
Or
moan
the-
like?
Like, I just pictured it, and I couldn't. It killed me.
Or the Roblox death sound. Oof.
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 On every thrust.
God.
Oh no.
The ideal male. We
Oh
found the
my
alpha.
gosh. Matt, thank you for 6 months sub. I really appreciate that. Also, hi Kappa. How are you? Nice to see you. What did you say? You said interesting question, but yeah, it definitely sounds like a love language thing. Sometimes words of affirmation are strong in acts of service, for example. Yeah. And then yeah, because some people are just quiet, right? Like they're just like, oh yeah, like let's do it, and then you do it, and they're just like quiet the whole time. Some people, you know, when it comes to like quiet or like should you be quiet, should you be loud, like whatever, it's like you should do whatever makes you comfortable. But also I think the thing that makes me sad when it comes to stuff like this is I don't want people to feel like they can't do it because they're not supposed to, right? Like it's that socialization stuff, right? Like I don't want someone of any gender to feel like, oh well, I'm not supposed to make noise or I'm not supposed to do this thing, like, because I think when you're with a partner, it should be your safe space to express yourself, right? And again, communication, you can tell your partner, you know, I've always been really quiet during stuff, but does it bother you if I make more noise? Does it bother you if I like say things to you? Like some people are into talking, some people are into, you know, like dirty talk, as they say, or whatever, like, and some people aren't. Like it's just about communicating and seeing what really works for you and your partner, right? Oh god, I'm about to oof. I hate it here.
That's so good. I'm just reading chat laughing at them. Next time with my GFL Roblox oof when I orgasm. Yeah, let us know how that one goes. Don't
Yeah.
should communicate that beforehand, but
Yeah, come check in with us afterwards. Oh my god, the ideal man sounds like Squidward or Oh
my love
gosh.
language is Roblox oof.
Is it? Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
I want to leave.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Let me find one that we can do. Let's see. We've been going for an hour. You'll need a quick BRB break or anything? I could refill my drink, so I'm gonna send us on a quick BRB, and we'll be back in
Sure.
like 5 minutes. Yeah. Okay. BRB chat, BRB, and then we'll come back with some more questions. Yeah.
Don't oof too hard, chat.
All right. Hi. Hi. Hello. Hi, chat. Thank you for being so patient. We're back. We're gonna take some more questions. Yeah. Thank y'all for hanging out with us tonight. It's been really fun. It's been a lot of good stuff. A lot of good questions have come in the last like hours since we started. So thank you. Thank you for all the good stuff. I really like, in particular, I'm seeing a lot more of the relationship advice ones now. I really like when people ask us questions about, specific situations or things like that allow us to kind of give our opinion and dive in on that. Yeah. So thank you. Someone asked about, is this Samba de Amigo? Yes, that was Samba. It was a mix of Samba de Amigo, Dance Dance Revolution. Yeah. All right. Okay. So, where was this one? Okay. So here's the situation. I enjoy eating my GF out and have found myself recently doing it for up to 2 hours. I begun to think that this is too long for fun times in total, but my partner appears to enjoy these sessions. How do I bring up wanting to spend less time on sex without sounding disinterested? What do y'all think?
I mean, that's pretty loaded. How do you bring it up without sounding disinterested? It's tough, but again, as we've been saying the whole time, communication is important.
I think you're always going to take a risk of sounding that way, but if you take time to properly explain why and how, it shouldn't come off that way. But you're going to have to say a lot more than, yo, I want our sex to be shorter. Because if you say it like
Yeah.
that, I mean,
Bringing up and saying, hey, I like going down on you, but it seems like it takes you too long. I feel like it's instantly creating this weird sense of like insecurity that's going to like develop in them.
And anytime that things are going a little longer, that's going to be in their head that
Yes, exactly. So it's I think really what you want to get at is, if you were worried that it's going on for too long, communicate the idea of like, I don't know what exactly is happening, but I want to put out there that if you're going down on someone for 2 hours and they aren't coming, there may be a reason why. And it might just be that there's no communication happening, because maybe something you're doing, even if other people have liked it, just aren't hitting it for your current girlfriend. So, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something else going on, right? Like, sometimes when people are really stressed out, their bodies change. And someone, who may have been able to come after like 20 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes before, is just at a place where they're like, their stress levels are so high that it's hard for them to relax, and it's hard for them to get themselves in a place where they can just like, enjoy themselves, right? So it may be something like that. It may be completely unrelated to what you're doing. It's just, where they're at. It might be because they're just enjoying the ride. And that's part of communicating, right? Like communicating, but I would frame it basically along the lines of, I've been wondering if there's anything that I can do differently or better. I don't know if I've been doing anything that's, I don't know, like
apparently more context to this is that they are coming multiple times even.
Oh, she is coming a lot. She just wants me to keep going. Well, then you have to communicate. Yeah, then you have to communicate.
Yeah, then that's
if she's just like coming on her 18th orgasm and you're like, okay, it's been 2 hours. Yeah, you literally just have to you just have to communicate, like, you know, whatever the situation might be, right? Like, it's also okay for you to, like, lead her to that place and then just sort of back off if there's an issue. If she's going to be upset with you, that's a bigger problem, right? Because again, that's a consent thing, right? You're allowed to say I want to stop now at any point, right? But yeah, I highly recommend communicating it. How do you bring it up? I mean, you just communicate exactly what you're saying. Like, well, whatever it might be. I've been getting tired lately, or I've been getting a little bit stressed out because I feel like maybe I'm not getting to spend time on other things, or whatever it might be, right? Like, whatever the situation might be, just communicate what it might be, and let them know specifically. I was worried. I didn't really know how to bring it up because I don't want you to think I'm disinterested. Like, saying those things are important, right? That's part of what what you can do. Yeah, let me see. Are there any other context? I get tired. Yeah. No, that is, listen, that is understandable.
That's a long time, I mean.
Yeah. I enjoy partaking in the feasting, but 2 hours can be a long time. And are there times when I think doing that for 2 hours is a wonderful way to spend 2 hours? Yes, absolutely. But do I want to do that every single time? No. I don't think so. And, you know, there are times when you want to be intimate with somebody, but you don't want it to be like a long thing. And that's one of the problems that happens, right? Like, if you're being intimate with somebody and it's a long thing like that every single time, yeah, it might start to become an issue. And I feel like that's pretty obvious. So just having that flexibility, I think, is important.
Yeah,
Plus, I want to cuddle and do other things.
Is a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot, right? I mean, it's not out of the question. Like, I feel like having a 2-hour session with somebody is not particularly, especially if it's like, I don't know, in the early stages of like exploring a new partner or whatever it might be. But like, the thought of every single time 2 hours of your day is just scheduled out for that, that's
Especially if it's just focusing on that one thing. Like, are you also, doing other stuff first? Because then that would make it even longer.
yeah. Is
if
your
it's
partner
just that.
reciprocating? Not necessarily, it doesn't even have to be oral, but is your partner reciprocating, like focusing on your pleasure as well? Or is it like, are they just pillow princessing it? Like, what's happening exactly? Like, because you have to make sure you're fair to yourself. Well, it could also be the dynamic of your relationship. Who knows? Like, some people's relationships, it is focused on only one person, and that's just what both people like. Like, yeah. Occasionally yes, sometimes no. Okay. Upbeat, thank you for 16 months. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Yuri. Yeah. I've been panicking about a way to bring it up. I mean, another thing, like, have you ever had any bad experiences just stopping or like trying to remove yourself from the situation? Like, after the second or
could always
third
just
orgasm,
kiss your way. Yeah, like after one or two, you could always just kiss your way up and kind of initiate cuddles or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
Snuggies. Those are the best.
And then if that becomes an issue, then that's something else that you would have to
that's a
talk
whole
about.
other
That's a whole other
conversation.
problem.
Yeah, right? Because if you're feeling pressured into doing things that you're just like not wanting to do, like, yeah, that's not okay. Yeah. So make sure that's clear, right?
And if you really are scared of bringing it up, I would try that first, maybe. Like, I know communication is important, but like you said, you don't want to make it sound like you're disinterested. So just have them do their thing a couple times and then kiss your way up, initiate cuddles.
Yeah.
Just try to, and then if that becomes an issue, then open up the conversation.
No. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully that's helpful. Thank you for being willing to say, hi, this is my question. It's about me. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's take this one. So this person asks, if someone says they want to wake up to a naughty act, as an ex told me, is that wrong? Because many have said consent can't be given to a sleeping person, or by a sleeping person, I think is what this means. Even if they're your partner and it was given beforehand. Yeah. What are your opinions?
All right. I think it depends on the partner. I think if it's something your partner has very specifically requested, that changes the dynamic. So I'm gonna sell myself out here a little bit. I'm extremely submissive and I want my partner to be very like I'm put in a position where I don't have any control, which unfortunately leads into those kind of categories. But I've made very explicitly strong that this is what I want and this is the best case scenario for me. Now, that does unfortunately, however, mean you will at times do what they've asked. And in that moment, they're going to be like, no, not today. And that's where things like safe words and strong communication is critical, because
Yes.
they want to feel that like forcefulness in an environment where it's not actually that's what they want. But in the event that they don't want it, they need to know that they can properly communicate that to you and it just, a line get drawn. So it has to be talked about and then have some sort of safe word. My safe word for like 5 years was pineapple because it made me laugh. Funny fact. Because once you start laughing, you kind of lose the grasp.
Mine's watermelon.
You understand.
Fruit gang.
Fruit gang.
I guess I need a fruit safe word now. I like guava.
Guava, that's good.
Guava. Okay.
But yeah, I think if you make it explicitly clear beforehand multiple times that it is something you're into, then it's okay. It's like pre-given consent. And then as long as you have a safe word, of course, that it's like, yeah.
Yeah, because a sleeping person can't give consent. That's true, but the person who is sleeping could have given you consent before, like, and consent is also something that can be taken away, right? So like, okay, so let me give you a scenario. If your partner has said, hey, I think it'd be really nice if like you woke me up by going down on me, okay, and then you're like, all right, cool, and then you wake up and you go and you do that, and then your partner's like, oh wow, this is what I wanted. Okay, cool, like everyone's happy, there's no problems, right? Now if you start doing that and your partner's like, like not now or not today or whatever, like assume that it's not some kind of act and just stop. Like, don't do that, right? And then you can even clarify, like, let's say it was the first time you ever did it and that was the thing that happened, and you'd be like, oh, I'm like, did I just make wrong? Like, you had said before this, like, you can clarify and just get that stuff. And it would be like, oh no, like, I actually really like that. I just, like, I'm not in the mood or whatever this morning, like, whatever it might be. Yeah. Everything has to be, like, communicated, right? Remember that, especially in those situations where someone is, like, sleepy and, like, disoriented, if they have given you that consent, that is one thing. That means, like, they are okay with that. They feel comfortable with you, and they, they're saying yes to that sort of thing. But what I say in those situations where someone is, like, sleepy and disoriented is that those are times when someone might not be, like mentally on it to be able to use their safe word. That's why I would say I would be extremely careful with situations like that, with someone saying
caution.
no, and I would just do that, right?
Yeah,
I think it's
if
more
no
complicated.
comes out at all, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, anything that's not physically harmful to somebody, you know, that two adults can agree on, you know, can give consent to, have fun, you know, do your thing, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody or each other, and like, yeah. I would say that, yeah, your ex was incorrect in saying that that's just wrong. Nobody can do that because no, that's not true. Like, you know, I can give consent to tell someone that that's okay for them to do, you know? Yeah, hopefully that all makes sense. But should you just be like, I think my partner might like this, and start doing that? No, don't do that. Don't do that, right?
Yeah,
like,
no.
if you think like, hey, it's kind of hot, that's the kind of thing that you want to communicate beforehand. Like, hey, I was wondering, like, would you ever think it's hot if I did this thing? And like, you know, see what they think, right? Or let them know, like, you think it would be hot if it was done to you, or whatever it might be. But yeah. Yeah, definitely is something that it's definitely something that needs to be talked about, for sure. All right. Uh yeah, lots of different questions. We're at like 100 questions. I'm trying to
The list only
scroll
grows,
through
it
and
does not go
see.
down.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. I wanna grab this one. This looks like it is a follow-up. And I will fill you in. But this says, I just wanted to say thank you for the advice from last week. It was regarding the asexual relationship. We talked it out, and things are much better now than before. We've taken the initiative to go to couples therapy, and we'll be going to our first appointment later this month. Thank you again. Chat was particularly insightful, and I appreciated it greatly. Hell yeah. I'm glad to hear that. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find the original. I think it was this one. It was the, how do you navigate as an asexual partner? I'm comfortable with not having sex frequently, but the feeling of being inadequate in the relationship is starting to hurt. I've spoken to them about this before, and they assure me that it isn't me. Is there a way to avoid this feeling? So yeah, this was someone who was talking about it from the perspective of like, their partner is asexual, and I think they were used to having sex, and they had been like sexual with other partners in the past, and so it was just making them feel like maybe they were doing something wrong, because their partner was asexual, and it seemed like it was like a newer thing for them too. And so yeah, I'm glad we're able to talk that out, and the fact that you were able to go and talk to them about it, right? That's good. I love seeing this. Like, we talked it out and things are better. Like, that's fantastic. That's all I hope, is that people, you know, take the advice and try to communicate it in the way that they think is best for them. So that's so cool. This is the first time I think I've ever had anyone come by and say, checking in again after last time. So that's cool. Thank you for that. All right, let me see. Okay. I just realized that I'm aromantic, meaning not wanting to be romantic or have a relationship. But my parents are very traditional. Do you have any advice for how to approach telling them? What do y'all think?
Okay, so I feel like my advice here is going to be probably not as good as someone else's, only because my parents are very, very open and understanding. I know that there's a lot of cases where you need to tell them, but you do have to take a risk on that because not everyone is willing to open their heart, you know? But I truly believe it's better to tell the truth and to be open because you take the chance of being able to build a real bond rather than hiding it. I don't think hiding's ever the right answer. And obviously we don't know your parents. We know they're traditional, but we don't know if, their true and genuine love will outweigh that traditionalism. Um but I think maybe not using the label and explaining how you feel and how you want to be, like you're explaining it to someone who's never had to think about it before. It's probably the best way to go about it because a parent at the end of the day, even if they don't show it well or even if they are forceful and even to a point cruel, they still usually keyword usually do still love you. They just aren't good at showing that and do it through wrongful means. So maybe if you can find a way to communicate it in a way that they understand, they'll know that it matters to you and their love for you will shine through, is the hope. But there's unfortunately no way of guaranteeing that.
Oh, okay, here we go. For clarity, every time I speak to my father, he always asks, "Have you met any girls?" I'm really concerned because he couldn't even deal with me having a trans boyfriend. Okay. So, yeah, I think Angel, really communicated some good ideas of you should talk to them, you know, and kind of let them know where you're at. I mean, because what's the alternative? Is it's none of their business, and you just continue to just be like, nah, not with anybody, not with anybody, not with anybody, like forever, and you deal with that. It's really a matter of like,
Yeah, like that's where my opinion would be like, if you don't feel like you have to tell them, you don't, like, unless it's like an annoyance to you or something like that, or if they're pressuring you, like when you get married kind of thing, like that traditional, I you might not even have to really explain that to them, but that is totally, how you want to go about it. Because like
yeah,
as someone also with super open parents, I who tells them everything,
Yeah, same.
I
My parents are keyed into everything, so it's kind of hard.
yeah, like I don't have the experience of having that kind of thing.
Family means a lot to me, so I'm the first person to jump to like trying to build a good family bond. But I'm also privileged to the fact that my parents have always tried to understand even the things that they don't. Like, they didn't necessarily behave perfect on day one, but they learned and adapted because that love mattered more. Um, so I'm always for try and give it your best because I love family and I think family is important, but I know not everyone has that experience, and that's 100% valid. And as you said, like, you don't have to necessarily communicate that. If it's literally just a marriage thing, you could just give sentences like, well, I don't want to get married yet. I don't want a partner yet. And hopefully they accept it. But if it comes to a point where they start pressuring you on the daily, you may have to have a sit down conversation, but I still don't think you have to label drop and get them to understand what being arrow is. You probably can just really pressure the fact that you're not ready for a relationship and you don't want one and phrase it that way. And maybe that'll get them off your back because they'll understand that better. But at the end of the day, it's all based on how much you feel you need to communicate to get through to them. But you're probably going to have to sit them down, and there's no way about it being an easy conversation. It's going to be a rough conversation.
yeah, yeah. That's it's
More
it.
context from Chad is they're pressuring marriage and grandkids, so
So a hard sit down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty sure I could get through to my mom, but I don't know how to get through to my dad. Uh, maybe if you think you can communicate with your mom and you feel safer doing that, maybe ask your mom for help, right? Like, having someone who has your back is helpful. But yeah, at the end of the day, you know, it's not like they can force you to do anything. So
Exactly.
you just have to communicate that, right? You have to just let them know, hey, this is what I want or what I don't want, right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I hope that helps. But definitely, I mean, because yeah, like I said, it's one of those situations where normally I would always be like communication, communication, communication. But when it comes to parents, who just like aren't on
They're
board,
stuck in
like
an older era.
yeah. When it comes to the generational difference, I don't always feel like you need to communicate that, right? It really depends on what it is.
Realistically
Like,
speaking, your parents shouldn't be forcing you to get married and have grandkids.
Yeah,
But, you
like
know.
especially when that's like the case. It almost feels like they're more focused on that than your happiness kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like
yes.
doesn't matter who you're with, doesn't matter if that person's making you happy, they just want grandkids marriage, which is not very loving,
Yeah.
I would say, but not that they don't love you, but
Yeah.
Maybe
And
bring
that's
that to their attention equally. Maybe they don't realize that that's upsetting you. They might
yes.
be thinking genuinely that you just haven't found the right person and they're just saying it casually all the time because when they were your age, that was something they thought about. It could literally just be them not being able to understand your perspective because of how they were. And maybe bringing up that difference will solve the problem all on its own and you won't even have to go into the other stuff. Hopefully, ideally.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the fact that you want to communicate it is good. It's just a matter of yeah, whether it's worth the trouble for you. You know, if you have that relationship where you're close, but this is for some reason like something that they just don't get, like I would understand wanting to communicate that. But if it's just like there are a lot of different generational differences, it might just be something, yeah, that you it might be one of those things that might cause you more trouble to push it than to just ignore them, right? Or ignore him. No. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate it, Night Raven. Thank you so much. Thank you. And yeah, I think you have a good point too, Raven, saying you don't have to explain your personal life to anyone. You don't want to. They're just pressuring you. And then that goes shockingly so for some people. That goes for family, right? Like you don't have to communicate anything specifically to someone just because they're family. Family has to earn your respect and earn that relationship with you, earn that trust and all that stuff. They don't just get it because, you know,
Blood
they're your
doesn't
family.
necessarily mean anything. It's the care and effort that goes into it. So if they
Yes.
aren't giving you that care and love that equals to that, then the family bond, quote unquote, isn't there. Blood itself doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. And you know, you can even just kind of like, I don't know if I'm ever gonna have kids. I don't know. I don't really want them. And you just leave it kind of light. And if they say stuff, you say, I told you I don't really want kids. And you just, you know, that's it. You just leave it at that, you know?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You can get a pride pina colada. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the biddies and the question. So thank you. Um, all right. I saw the automated collab command went out. So I do want to remind you all, if you're watching and you haven't already, please go follow Fen and Angel. I'd really appreciate it. They're both wonderful content creators and they're sharing their time with us tonight to answer some questions. So that's really pog. Thank you. All right, let me see. Okay, let me see. All right, a lot of questions. Let me grab okay. Do you have any advice for someone in an ultra long distance relationship, like different countries? Lol. I don't know, Fan, you have any advice for people in long distance relationships in different countries?
I personally feel like
Mm.
takes effort, it takes work. If you're not willing to put in that effort and work, don't do it. And also making hard plans and efforts to meet pretty early on. Like you have to, at least, even if you're not going to meet right away, you have to make concrete plans that this is going to happen within a year or something, right? Because you don't want it to get to the point where it's like it's been 3 years and we still haven't seen each other. Like you have to, yeah, you just have to commit and I think make that effort. And there are ways obviously to have it work if you're not going to visit each other in person, but I think the physical is super important, so that should always be the main priority, is to get to a point where you can see each other. I think that's how I feel about them anyways, so I don't know
Yeah.
any other
No, I think I think that's true. Well, you've never been in a long distance relationship, right, Angel? You've
Nope, that's why I was holding my tongue. I'm very positive, and I definitely believe it's possible. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of friends that have had long distance relationships, be in these relationships for a long time, and then they meet up after like 5+ years, and then the breakup happens after. I've seen 3 different people go through this, and I didn't understand. And I was talking to Kite about it one day. I was like, "Why does this keep happening? Like, it's a weird trend because I don't understand." And he said that there's a common problem in long distance relationships where you get these crazy expectations built up because you've never actually met in person. And at some point, the relationship shifts from being about the relationship to being about those expectations. So I think what Fen said about meeting
It's
up
true.
as soon as you can is critical, because that way you're
Yes.
no longer building your relationship around this dream of seeing each other. And the
right.
dream
Yeah.
about, actually being together long term is what the goal should be, just like any relationship, regardless of online or offline. I don't think the physical touches itself really have to play a role. I mean, they're obviously a great benefit, but establishing what real life is together, I think, is critical. But that's all speculation from what I've seen outwardly. I can't speak to personal experience. Kite moved in and lived with me when we were still in the dating phase. So like I can't, I'm literally the opposite of definition here.
Yeah. I yeah, I mean I agree. So I've had some experiences with I've dated plenty of people that I met IRL, and then I've had one relationship a while ago where I was dating somebody and they were from Germany, and so we never made plans to meet up before we broke up. We were together for several months, 8, 9 months, and we had like made plans and talked about it, but it was just one of those things where, the relationship itself, for what it was nice. We, provided, I think, each other what we needed during most of that time, and then ultimately it just didn't end up working out, and that's okay. That's like, it's like any relationship. Uh, yeah, I think long distance relationships are hard, but putting in that effort to try and see each other, I think, is a big difference. And like, that is something that I was like, oh, if this ever happens again, that's something that I think is more important for me. And I met Fen like, what, a few months ago,
Ayo.
and when we
Mhm.
started talking about actually getting to a point where we were like gonna try dating and see where this went, like, it was from the get-go. We were like, we were talking about wanting to meet each other in person, right?
Yeah.
And for most, we even talked about like, oh, we should meet each other in person and hang out, before we start like officially dating or anything. But it was just one of those things where it felt right, and we decided, fuck it. What's the worst that can happen? Like, let's just be together, and we'll figure the rest out later. You know, and the
Hence
ultimate
all-stream
reality,
hand-holding.
yeah, and the ultimate reality for anyone in long distance relationships is, if you start dating before you meet, you may meet and, you know, find that things don't quite work IRL the way that you had hoped, and that's just an unfortunate reality with certain situations, and you never know that until you actually meet somebody, right? Because I know people who have started dating and they meet each other IRL and things don't really go as they thought. And I think here's the reality, is that probably 99% of the time, when you meet somebody IRL after only knowing them online, things are going to be a little bit different than you may have expected, or like all of the notions that you had in your head or whatever. But that's not a problem, right? It's just, now you get to know somebody differently, right? And there's no telling whether that sort of stuff will be good or not until you're in it, right? So advice is, yes, definitely I would recommend trying to meet up with each other sooner rather than later. I think that's really important. And then ultimately, I think one of the other things for long distance relationships is asking yourself why are you in that relationship, right? Like, is it fulfilling your needs, and is it fulfilling your needs long term, right? Like, I am someone who's like, I know that I can date somebody long distance, and based on my lifestyle as a VTuber, regardless of whether it's long distance or not, like, I feel like I wouldn't be able to date anybody else unless they were also a streamer. Because then they understand me, right? They know where I'm coming from. They know my lifestyle.
The lifestyle.
Yeah. There's no pressure of like, what do you mean? Like, can't you just cancel stream to hang out with me tonight?
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's
As
like,
someone who has also gone through that, it's a headache. It's hard to explain to someone, even if you're not dating someone. It's hard to explain content creation to someone who has no idea, like parents or like relatives. It's just it's a whole different thing, and like they don't understand when it's like, well, why can't you just take like a week off? Why can't you just take 2 days off? Like, it's because you can't. Sometimes you just can't. Like,
Consistency, mom.
yeah, like consistency and stuff. Like, you and someone that isn't part of this world, I don't think will ever fully understand why that's so important. But
yeah, it's true. And, you know, some streamers date people who aren't streamers. Usually when I find out that a streamer's dating someone who's not a streamer, they were dating before they became a streamer, and that person has been able to like go along that journey with them, right? I feel like I don't as often see someone who is a streamer who just starts dating someone randomly who's not a streamer, who is just like, all right, that sounds completely normal, everything that you do and the way you like have your work schedule and everything like that.
I think part of it's also a lot of streamers' social lives and like personal lives are heavily tied into this streaming community, which makes it hard to have a relationship with someone that isn't involved in the community at all, because then you're looking at your friend groups being entirely different, your hobbies being entirely different. You probably don't hang out in Discord together. Like, it becomes a bit of a wall unless the person is willing to delve into those interests for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I see that message in chat from Vampire about that something could happen too when you don't meet. You can idealize, and I find this a lot. I feel like a lot of people are guilty of this. I've been guilty of this too with certain people. Like, you get close to people and you idealize like who you want them to be and not who they are. And I think that can happen a lot in online relationships, or just, you know, getting to know people online, that you have sort of a skewed perspective, or honestly, like sometimes a made up perspective in your own head of like who someone is, or you know, what their life is and all these things, because you don't get to see everything, right? So it's also never healthy. Being self-aware And making sure your partner is self-aware is extremely important. I think. Because yeah, you want to make sure that you're not falling in love with the idea of somebody instead of somebody.
Right.
Yeah. Like that's something that's really, 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 really important.
Also, something that could happen if you're exclusively online for like years and years. I guess you might not see a certain side to them. Like, if you never meet, or if, like, I don't know, if you're sometimes problems might not come up then, and you don't get to see that side of the person and how they deal with those problems and stuff. And that might be a turnoff or stuff like that, I guess.
That's true. Yeah, I always say that about someone, whether it's friends or relationships or whatever. I always say you don't really know somebody until you see how they deal with conflict. And how they deal with, being in bad situations, or how they deal with breakups, or how they deal with, like, whatever it might be, right? Just how you see people deal with certain situations, right? Like, when you're online with someone, you don't see their day-to-day life, right? You don't see how they, take care of themselves in their space, or, their whatever it might be. And some things may not matter, and some things may be important to you. Like, it really just depends, like, what, and you just, yeah, like, putting yourself in a situation where you see it. And there are some people who literally just say, I'm happy with a long distance relationship. For me, like, I'm not. Like, I know that if I date somebody, it's always like, it can start long distance, but at some point it becomes like, all right, are we gonna keep doing this? Because then we should start thinking about, like, how we can make it not long distance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure that those things are on the same page, because the last thing you want too in a long distance relationship is to be with someone who's like, oh, well, I don't really want to, like, US and Australia was given, right? Like, there's that possibility where both people are like, oh my gosh, I love you, you're amazing. And then it's like, yeah, it would be so cool if you come visit the US. And they're like, yeah, it'd be so cool if you come visit Australia. And then at the end of the day, both people are like, you should really move over here. And they're like, no, you should move over here, like.
Yeah, I had a friend who had been in a long-term relationship, right? And they had even gotten to the point of talking like marriage and whatnot, but one lived Midwest and one lived in California, which honestly is not that far. But their relationship ended up breaking because neither of them were willing to move to the state of the other, even though they had already gotten to the point of marriage talk. It was the realization that one of the two would have to completely uproot their lives for the other that
Yeah.
broke it. So those questions need to be talked about early, because if someone is refusing to take those kinds of risks, then it will not work, because if one person's making all the sacrifices, you can't have a relationship, and it's dangerous to make those kinds of risks already, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And honestly, make sure you get to know somebody, like, more extensively than just for one visit kind of thing. Because I will say, from my own personal experiences and not great experiences, I had someone that I met online, and I thought I knew them and their personality and everything really, really well. And then we met up, and it was a wonderful weekend, but it was a weekend. And by the end of the weekend, the next conversations we were having was, her moving to my area. And it just went really, really fast. And it ended up, being that the person that I thought she was not actually who she was. And there's a lot there's a lot of life consequences that can happen from things like that. So I would say, and the biggest thing, regardless of any of the other, like, non-related consequences from that relationship that I had, was like, she was extremely resentful of uprooting her life, as Angel said, and moving, and then the relationship not working out, right? I had an ideal. I definitely had an idea. Like I was in love with the idea of who I thought she was and who she portrayed herself as, and I think vice versa. I think she was in love with this idea of who she thought I was. When that happens, it's not even necessarily like someone. It's not like someone's misrepresenting themselves or anything like that. It's just
perception.
it's exactly. It's just perception, and that's just the kind of stuff that happens. So I would say be careful. And this, even IRL relationships, just make sure you really know somebody, before you make any drastic decisions. Choosing to date, that's fine. Not every relationship has to work out, right? Not every relationship has to end in marriage and, all stuff like that. Like, you can just have a relationship to have a relationship. If it's good, then it's good then, right? You do obviously want to make sure that you always keep open communication and let people know. If you're someone who's like, oh, I'm just in a relationship, not looking for anything like super long term, that's fine if that's what your partner wants, right? But you definitely don't want that to happen. And then your partner's like, oh no, I'm like looking for marriage. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about that right now, kind of thing, right? Like,
Communication.
Communication.
That SpongeBob meme
Communication.
is still my favorite.
Yeah.
I think that's all pretty well said though.
Yeah. Thanks so much for the advice. Yeah, of course. All right, let me see. All right. Oh, another follow-up. Okay, let me open this one up real quick. This is a follow-up to last week. I ended up talking to my girlfriend about how uncomfortable I get around her boyfriend. I met him more, and it devolved rather quickly into a fight. She kept questioning why I was so uncomfortable, and I explained to her a couple days ago that it's trauma-based, and she sounded more baffled than understanding. She assures me she still loves me, but I'm having doubts. Okay, so to give you two some context in chat, whoever wasn't here, some context from last week. It was based a situation of someone who was in a polyamorous relationship. She had a girlfriend. And then the girlfriend had I think there was a long distance relationship between her and her girlfriend, but the girlfriend had a local partner there. Her boyfriend that was over there. So there was a trip that was planned for the person who asked the question to go visit her girlfriend, and while they were on the trip, it was supposed to be about them getting to spend time with each other and that sort of stuff. And definitely it was, I guess, talked about and supposed to be alone time, but the boyfriend ended up showing up towards the end of it, and it was I think we were trying to get to the bottom of like whether the girlfriend invited him or whether he just showed up and interjected himself. But either way, it was about communicating the discomfort there, and that sort of thing. So it looks like where it went was they did talk, and honestly, from some of the insight that they were giving us, because they were in chat like explaining some stuff, it seemed like the girlfriend was not being very fair. It seemed like there was some maybe not great toxic aspects of things that were more pressured and not communicated. So what I would say, if you're still listening, or you pop back for the VOD, to hear this one, that I'm glad you talked. And I mean, it was kind of like what we said. We said, it might be that she's not receptive and ends up needing I don't know, it might not be the relationship for you, right? It might not be the healthiest relationship. And sometimes it just happens. And it might be sad, but it's okay, Yeah, she assures me that she still loves me, but I'm having doubts. I would say I'm. It doesn't. It's not relevant. Like for you to start thinking about, does she love me or does she not love me? Like I don't think that's the question, because it's. I don't want to sound insensitive, but it's irrelevant whether she loves you or not. She can still mistreat you. She can still put you in a situation where you're not comfortable. So if she's trying to force you into like a situation to be comfortable with her boyfriend as well, and you're not, and she is just being baffled, or if she's being you say this, but if she's being like condescending or dismissive, um, those are red flags, right? So again, I would take some time to think about maybe it's not the best sort of thing, especially because honestly the reaction should have been, oh wow, I didn't realize you were so uncomfortable. Let's figure out how to make you feel more comfortable, right? It devolving into a fight is not good. No. Okay. Uh, okay. It's been about 2 hours, so y'all want to take one more?
Yeah, one more sounds good.
Sure.
Okay, let me take one more. So this one is, I'm really traumatized by my previous intimate relationship. And now I'm scared that my partner and that any partner I get now will get bored of me or impatient with how long it will take me to open up intimately again. I'm avoiding relationships in general now, even though I'm 21 in my prime. Any thoughts?
Also, I think the poster, the last question, is in chat now.
Yeah, I think the person.
Oh,
from
hi
the follow-up.
Faye. Yeah, Faye, I hope you're able to continue talking that out and figuring that out, but I would be very, very careful, right? And, we urged you last time, because you deserve better than how you were being treated. So just make sure you treat yourself with, self-love and respect too, to make sure that you're not letting yourself get put in situations you don't want to be in. Yeah, Witchy, hi. This is your question? Okay. So yeah, you wanna, and either y'all wanna take this one?
Sure. Well, if there's one thing that I'd like to start with talking about, it's actually the statement you made at the end about, being in your prime and how you feel like you should be seeking out relationships because of your age. And I kind of want to start there, and then move into the trauma and all that after addressing this part, because I think in any sort of relationship, actively seeking it because you feel a need to be in one can kind of set you up for a little bit of a disaster. It's not a guarantee, but if you're chasing down a relationship because you feel you have to have one, you may start to see flags in places that they aren't there and put yourself in an environment where you've convinced yourself you love a person, you've convinced yourself you want to be with a person because you felt a need to be in a relationship. You can find love, find a true relationship 30s, 40s. I mean, shit, I've heard of people in their 80s finding their true loves at that stage, and that's still all valid.
Yeah.
Getting over trauma is not it's not fast. And it's not something you can expect yourself to just, oh, I'm better now. Even when you think you're better, you're going to have these moments where it'll feel like it doesn't exist, and then suddenly, boom, it's in your face. It's your reality again. And even if, there's no reason for you to ever feel that all your partners will get bored of you, and there's no reason to hate on yourself for these traits, but it's not going to happen immediately. You're going to struggle with that, and that's okay. You will get over it in time, and you have to give yourself that time, and ideally you find a partner that is willing to work with you on those things. Because no matter who we are or what we've experienced, we all have problems, and when you're in a relationship, those problems become fair ground with your partner or partners. There's no hiding them. Period. Um, so I guess the ideal, right? So like the perfect word circumstance would be you find someone while you're still young as you'd prefer, and they're willing to work with you on your trauma, but you have to have the ability to work on your trauma on your own regardless of the relationship. That's the key point. And acknowledge that your youth right now doesn't change or devalue your potential relationships. Because if the youth is critical, you're going to hit a very bad midlife crisis. Just telling you right now, if the youth is what you're banking on, it will come to bite you in the butt. And no one wants to go through that. Learn to embrace who you are regardless of how many wrinkles are in your skin, and that'll help a lot. I hope I didn't go too far off base here, Marina. If you need to slap my hand, that's okay. My hand is right here for the slapping. I'm ready.
I think if you want me to, I mean, I can. I'm not gonna say no, but
Ooh.
like, no, you're good. Yeah, I think what I see when I see this is you're talking about trauma, right? You're talking about I'm really traumatized by a previous relationship. Are you taking care of yourself? Evan Skyheart, thank you so much for the sub. I really appreciate that. Are you taking care of yourself in, like, going to therapy about this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know what your, I don't know what your background on that is. I don't know if you've been to therapy or if you've talked to anyone professionally about something like this, but when you say that you're traumatized, that very much so, like, means that you should be talking to someone professionally, right? Yes, I'm going to therapy. It's very important to me. Okay, good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Okay. Hi, Voxid. Okay, so if you're going to therapy, that's making sure that you are letting your therapist know about these thoughts, right? And I think there's a couple things here. Yes, as Angel said, there's no limit, right? There's no time limit. You don't need to be feeling like you're losing your youth or whatever it might be, because you can enter into relationships whenever you want to, and they're just as, as someone who is 33 now, like, it's literally like the older I get, the better my relationships get, honestly, for the most part, because you gain insight and wisdom and things like that. So you say 21, I'm in my prime. I mean this respectfully, but the only thing I feel like we're in our prime for at 21 is to make more mistakes.
Yeah. 21
and,
like me now.
Yeah, we are like, when it comes to having relationships and feeling like you are losing something, I wouldn't stress about that, right? There are so many aspects of our lives that we can explore, that just because you don't have a relationship, it doesn't devalue you, right? It doesn't invalidate you. It doesn't mean anything like that, right? I think the key here that I see, though, is I'm scared that any partner I get now will be bored of me or impatient with how long it will take me to open up intimately again. And that's one of the things. If you're not ready to open up with somebody, you might not be ready for a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And that is okay. There's no problem there. Who knows when you'll be ready? Might be next month, might be next year, it might be in 5 years, There's no rush, there's no deadline. And also the kinds of relationships you have, or the kind of like intimate experiences you have with people, are completely up to you. And they don't have to have like certain labels on them, or, stuff like that. You can go with things as you please, I think is what's important there. Mommy Marina and all, thank you so much. I feel so much more hopeful and a bit more emotional now. Yeah, like hang in there. know that you don't need to feel bad right now that you're missing out. It's a extremely human emotion at times to feel, even when you're not ready for a relationship, that you need a relationship. But that really just comes from a need of love and validation and stuff like that. But remember that there's many different outlets for that, right? To including yourself.
I feel like when you're younger, it's a lot harder to get in the mindset that you need to love yourself first and foremost before someone else can love you. And I think that's very important to do.
Very.
Yes. Anyone one's in chat, if anyone know anybody who's a chronic relationship haver, even when they probably shouldn't have one, because they just don't feel like they have any value if they're not in a relationship, right? Oh my god, Angel.
Yeah, like that's a lot. Like you need to learn to be comfortable with yourself and love yourself and do things for yourself that is loving to like yourself. It sounds basic, but it's a very hard thing to do. And just I always advise people not to focus on wanting a relationship or needing it, and focus more on the self-love, and then the relationship will come on its own, kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's it. When you love yourself, when you get to the point where you're like, no, I need to treat myself with respect, I'm okay not having a relationship, people will still love me, people will still value me, I can still be happy. When you reach those, like, you accept that, those are the times when you accept that, that's when I feel like you're actually able to be happy, right? It comes down to other stuff too. I hear people say, where they say, how can I get a partner? How can I do this or this, right? And it's again that same mindset of only being obsessed with, I need a partner. How do I get one right now?
Yeah.
And I always say the most attractive feature is loving yourself, being confident in yourself, being happy with your life and where you're at, right? Because I know too many of those ones, right? I know way too many of those ones. I know people who are just like, I need to be with somebody, and that's all they base their life off of. Like, they go immediately from relationship to relationship to relationship, and they ride out those relationships until they're like, all the rubber has burned off the wheels and the car is grinding against the pavement. It's like not even moving anymore. It's just sparking a little bit. And then they literally like roll out of the moving vehicle before it stops into another one. Like, I've known plenty of those people, and the problem is they never stop to love themselves, right? They always like just find value in, oh, this person's so nice to me.
Seeking the validation from the relationship, kind of thing.
Yeah. And you can't do that. You can't do that.
There's nothing more attractive than loving yourself and being comfortable with yourself.
Because when you're not, like, this is my thought there. When you are someone who is extremely self-conscious, you're only looking for validation in other people, and you probably, are really, really sensitive about things, and you think really poorly about yourself, there are plenty of people who might want to date you. And more often than not, those people are all people looking for someone to take advantage of, because they see, oh, this is someone who, and they come off as like I just want to show you how to be loved, or this, right? And then it's like, the reality is that I can fix her. I can fix him. Like, that's the kind of situation that you'll find, right? When you don't have your shit together, and you're like, oh, I don't know, like, my life is such a mess. I don't know how, I am lucky enough to find somebody who wants to date me over and over and over again. I found like 8 people, even though my life's been a mess for the last 8 relationships. Ignore the fact that they were all like terrible abusive relationships. It's like people are ignoring that idea that the people who are attracted to people who are in those like really vulnerable headspaces are the people that know you're vulnerable and they want to take advantage of you, right? That's normally what I find. Most people that can recognize that typically are like, oh, I'm actually not attracted to this because it's too much for me. I don't want the pressure of being the person who you put all your validation on, right? Like most people who I feel like are not in that sort of more manipulative headspace acknowledge that kind of stuff. So I think that is something that is definitely important. I try to stress to people all the time is like, your relationship means nothing for your validation. Make sure that you're treating yourself the way you deserve, and you will find people. People will instantly be more attracted to you. Yeah. The low self-worth cycle that you need someone to give validation because the love you give yourself has no value. It can keep you stuck in that cycle. It's true. It's true. It's why therapy is so important, and communicating that with your therapist, right? And hopefully you have a good therapist who can pull that out of you if you're not, doing that yourself, right? You've all made my day for real. I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah. Anything else you want to add on that? Sorry, I feel like I talked a lot of that one.
Well, I just want to add that if someone gets bored based on when you open up sexually in a relationship, that's not a very good person. Everyone opens up differently, and if someone like is going to make you feel any type of way for not putting out, I guess that isn't right. If it takes you half a year, if it takes you a year, if it takes you 5 years, and that's okay, that's valid. That's just how long it takes you, and you just have to find someone that is compatible with that. And you shouldn't have to ever feel like you have to compromise that.
Yeah.
That's all. I just want to add that.
No,
Because
I
like, even if
agree.
it is coming from a place that maybe is trauma, but even if it's not, like, it's valid to take your time with that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Never rush yourself, no matter what it is. Yeah, like everyone processes trauma differently. Some people are able to get through things quickly, and some people it takes a very long time. And some people never really lose or leave the trauma behind completely. It's always a part of them, and it influences their life. And either way, whatever it might be, as long as someone is working with a professional, trying to do what they can to live their best life, that's all you can do, right? Yeah. But no, if someone's gonna get bored because you're not ready, nah, fuck them. They're not the right person. That's it. You'll find someone else who cares, more about you and your needs.
And especially being that young, if you run into someone that is going to make you feel bad or any type of way because you're not doing things quick enough, then I would say it's not worth it.
Yeah. Best relationship I've had was shortly after I put in no dating for a year, work on yourself first policy on myself. I met this great person during the period, and she was fantastic. And honestly, think that since I wasn't looking for anyone, we naturally formed a bond during that time, and that's probably why it was so great. If I was looking for someone, it would have been rushed with that. Have a good night. All right. Yeah. No, I agree. That is, people get so hung up on like, I need a relationship. Remember those ones that we said in chat? Like, people get hung up on needing a relationship, but it just happens. And the best relationships just happen, right? It's not that you're looking for something. And it's okay to be like, oh, you know what? I'm ready for a relationship. That's okay too. But I'm just saying, the best relationships just happen naturally, instead of like a dramatic or desperate like search sometimes.
Yeah. Like, you should never get into a bad place or kind of like feel like, obviously everybody wants someone, but you should never get to the point where you're like getting depressed or upset and just like digging yourself more into a hole because you're like, oh, like why haven't I found someone yet? Like it's not happening for me. It's never gonna happen for me. Like it's not good to get into that mindset.
Yeah.
Like we said earlier, it's better to love yourself, be comfortable, not focus on that stuff, not kind of get too sad or depressed over it, and something good will happen when you least expect it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, when you're fully feeling yourself, that's when people see that and they're like, that's someone that's like fully confident in themselves, and that's attractive to me.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, I had a really nice night tonight. Thank you all for everyone who came by. I want to throw some shout outs out there. I'm gonna throw Angel up there first, so please make sure you follow Angel and Fen, but you can right now follow Angel real easily by clicking that little button up at the top.
Thank you.
If it's your first time here, I do these every week, every Friday. Here's my Discord. You can join my Discord and you can go to the Rolls channel and opt in for notifications so that you don't miss out on streams. You can also check out my socials, follow me on Twitter and stuff, and see everywhere that I create content. Yeah. We are going to that's not the thing, it's slash, right?
We're going to Tane.
All right, yeah,
Sorry,
we're
I got
gonna
really
go
excited.
raid. We're gonna go raid Tane, and then let
Tane's
me
the
do
best.
my other shout out for Fenzi. There we go. Only one shout out can be activated.
Thank you.
I don't think
Oh.
mine's.
Oh, that's
Finished
okay.
yet.
I'm sure I'll be
Okay.
around again very soon.
Well, make sure you follow Fenzi, please. Oh, yeah, I don't know why it's not working. Okay, but anyway, I love y'all. I really appreciate y'all being here. Like I said, I do this every single Friday at 9 p.m. Pacific time. I hope y'all come by next week. I will have, let me look at my thing real quick, actually. But next Friday, I will have Spite and Shirahiko on to join me and answer some questions. So I'm really excited. It's been a while since I've had Spite on my stream, and it's the first time I've ever had Shirahiko on my stream. So I'm really excited. So I hope you'll come by next week. And I will see you at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Yeah. All right, gamers. I hope you all have a good night. Let's go give Tane some love. We are going to say, I don't know. We learned. There you go. That's your raid message.
We learned.